तो कैसे हैं आप लोग। आज हम डिस्कस करने वाले हैं सेक्शन 13 टीपी एक्ट का, जो कि डील करता है ट्रांसफ़र फॉर बेनिफिट ऑफ अनबर्न पर्सन। तो आओ अपने अपने ईयरफोन्स डाल लो या डाल भी लिए। So it says, where on a transfer of property an interest therein is created. That means there has been a transfer of property and an interest therein is created. For whom? For the benefit of a person not in existence, and that person was not in existence at the date of transfer, subject to a prior interest created by the same transfer. That means in the same transfer, prior interest also created. This is the condition precedent of the transfer. Then the interest created for the benefit of such unborn person shall not take effect unless it extends to the whole of the remaining interest of the transferor in the property. That means it will be absolute interest and not partial. So what it says that a person who is not in existence can neither be a transferee of property nor a beneficiary under a trust until he comes into the existence. So there can be no immediate transfer of property or creation of an interest in favor of a person not in existence. That's why life interests are created. Life interest or prior estate is condition precedent for such transfers. There is no direct transfer to child in womb is allowed. Therefore, the mechanism of prior interest being reserved for someone in existence with a hope that unborn person will come in existence on or before the expiry of the prior estate or last of these, if many in that property. So now let's learn through an example. Suppose A is the transferor. He transfers his property absolutely to B, who is not in existence. That means B is the unborn person. In between A and B, there are created some prior interest like X, Y, Z. That means X will hold the property. After X, Y will hold the property. After Y, Z will hold the property. These are the life interest or prior estate before B. B is the unborn person here. He cannot get the property directly. That's why these X, Y, Z are created in between them. And B must have been born before the death of last prior interest. That means B must have born before the death of Z. Now let's see the illustration of the section 13. That is, A transfers property of which he is the owner to B in trust. That means A transfers his property to B. A and his intended wife successfully for their lives. That means A and his intended wife are prior interest or life interest, and after the death of the survivor, that means who survives last, for the eldest son of the intended marriage. That means the eldest son will get the property at last for life, and after his death for A's second son. That means A, his wife, and eldest son of the intended marriage are life interests, and after his death A's second son will get the property. The interest so created for the benefit of the eldest son does not take effect because it does not extend to the whole of A's remaining interest in the property. As there is transfer of property to A's second son, that's why A's eldest son will not get the interest so created will not take effect because the interest has not been transferred absolutely to A's eldest son. So here, who is a person in existence? A child born is a person in existence. A child in womb is not a person in existence. So is a child not even in the womb. A person not in existence may be a person in womb or person not even in womb. Person in womb is in existence but he cannot get the property directly. He can get it indirectly under the mechanism given in this section 13. Person not in womb is not in existence, so he can get property under the system or mode given in section 14. So section 13 deals with the person in existence. Those are persons not in existence which are in womb. So now let's see the leading case of this section, Girijus Dutt versus Datta Din. In this case, A made a gift to B. B is the daughter of the nephew of A. A's nephew's daughter is B. A made a gift to B. After B to her male descendants, if any, for absolutely. That means after B to B's sons or male descendants, if any, absolutely. Further, if there is no male descendants of B, then to B's daughters, provided without the power of alienation. That means it has not been given absolutely to B's daughters. Firstly to B, then to B's sons. If no sons, then to B's daughters without the power of alienation. Then if there are no issues of B, that means if there are no sons or daughters of B, then to C. So this is the final scenario. A gifted a property to B, who is the daughter of a nephew of A. Then after B to B's sons, if any, absolutely. If no sons, then to B's daughters without the power of alienation. If no sons or daughters of B, then to C. Then B died issueless. Now the question arises before the court that whether the gift to unborn daughters of B was valid or not, whether the gift to C was valid or not. The court held that the gift to unborn daughters failed under section 13 as there was no prior interest, and also the transfer was not absolute because there was without the power of alienation was given to B's daughters. So gift to unborn daughters failed under section 13. The next question was whether the gift to C was valid or not. The court held that the gift to C also failed under section 16, which says where an interest created prior fails on account of section 13, then any ulterior transfer also fails if it was in the same transaction. The gift was in the same transaction, it was made to C. If the gift to unborn daughters failed, then it will also fail in case of C. So this is all about section 13. Hope you will like it.